was born in 1940, and we lived in Mount Sydney at that time. I don't think we lived there very long, but we moved to this house where we are here now.
This was known back in those days as the White House on the Hill, Long Route 11.
Moved here in 1954, and I was starting my sophomore year in high school. And this house, I think, was built in the 1940s. I'm not sure of the exact year, but my family, my parents lived here for, well, both of my parents were living here when they passed away. And now Doug's son Zane and his wife and 3 children live here. When we lived up here at this house on the hill, we milked 1 or 2 cows, and I did it. Doug did it maybe when I started college, but I recall there wasn't any fence on either side of the driveway, and I was always scraping manure off the driveway so the cars wouldn't get messed up. And I can remember walking up and down this hill just to get on the school bus and walk back up. You could get down this hill pretty fast, but it was a chore coming back up. At one point I drove a little pickup truck around the farm, and leaving that down at the driveway, entrance to the driveway off the school bus, and rode that on occasion, but most of the time we walked. My grandfather used to love telling the story of him stopping by on occasion, and you never knew when he was going to stop by, but he drove this little green pickup truck, and he was a dealer in livestock, and he could only haul 1 cow at a time on that pickup truck. And I can remember one time he stopped by and just to visit and see if I wanted to go along with him, and he tells it that my mother said no, couldn't do it for whatever reason. And I told Granddaddy, I said, just don't you leave yet. We're going to ask her again a little later. She might change her mind. Let me go. And I think she did.
When I was growing up in the earlier years, just prior to moving up here, I remember getting a pony for Christmas one year. That was big time. I mean, I had a pony. You can't imagine that. We didn't have a lot of luxury things. I remember getting a really well-built metal truck, tractor trailer that stayed around for many years, playing with that. As a youngster, I vividly remember some things about both of my grandparents. When I visited the Rankin family, Saturday night we listened on the radio to the Grand Ole Opry. You got to remember there wasn't any television, and there was a Western on, maybe Hopalong Cassidy was also on the radio, but Saturday night in Grand Ole Opry was always something that on the radio that they listened to.
We moved to Mount Crawford when I was 2 years old, and I lived in this white salt box house till I was in 6th grade when we moved to Bridgewater. I'm the youngest of 3 children. My oldest brother was Donald, and he died just 2 years ago at age 77. And my middle brother was, he was age 63 when he passed away. And I was able to visit the house in Mount Crawford. The lady offered for us to come in and look around, and so I did. But the sad thing was that I don't have any of my family now to share that with, to let them know that I had gone back there and got to see the house. And I have a lot of good memories of the Mount Crawford home. I remember there used to be a white picket fence along the around our yard, and on the street I would hold on to the picket fence and learn to roller skate on the sidewalk there. That's how I learned. And I used to push my doll carriage there with my dolls. Sometimes I would put my cat in there. I always had my cats with me. We also did not have a bathroom, and so to take a bath we had a big metal tub that you could sit in, and you heated the water on the wood stove, and you used the lye soap that probably Mom and Dad made, and took a bath in this big metal tub. And the bathroom was down the little concrete path down from our house. You had to go to the outdoor house, or the Johnny house as it's called. My dad was a great gardener. He loved gardening, and he planted everything. And he would plow the potatoes when they were ready to be plowed, and I had to go along and pick them up out of the dirt. And I didn't like that job. And I remember one time we did it for an hour or so, went in for lunch, I took my bath, and he said, "Why did you take a bath? Because we're not through. We have to go back and pick up more potatoes." We are in Dayton, Virginia, and this is where I went to high school. It was known as Turner Ashby High School. Went here for 5 years, and we were the first class to go all the way through from 8th grade to 12th grade. It was a brand new school, and we thought we were something going in a big school like this. Things I remember about TA was the biggest memory I have is playing varsity basketball when I was a sophomore. I was on the team, got on the team, didn't think I'd get to play, but one of the seniors had an appendicitis and she had to have surgery, and I was right behind her, so I got to start the games after that, after she had her surgery and she couldn't play anymore. When I was a TA as a junior, I was in a play, and I played a sophisticated high society woman, and I was supposed to smoke a cigarette, but at that time they wouldn't let you do that. I wore furs and very dressed up clothes, and I enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun. I remember the proms here, and we had a lot of sock hops, which I don't know if you have those still today. You could go in on the gym floor, but you could only wear socks. You couldn't wear shoes, so they called them sock hops, and they played the latest music. And I guess we had graduation right here on this big. Our chairs sat on this big. It was 102 of us graduated, and some of the ladies of the class still get together. Some of the ladies I've known since first grade, went to Mount Crawford with them, and then ended up graduating with them also. I was in a lot of beauty contests at that time, and I didn't put myself in them. There was a couple in Bridgewater that sponsored me and wanted me to be in beauty contests. So I did that for a couple of years. Never won first. I did win second, but I never won first. We moved to Bridgewater when I was in the 6th grade, and when I was a freshman in high school, Dwight and I started dating then. My parents were not too happy about me dating a college guy, and so the first year they would not let me go to Tech where he went to school. They wouldn't let me go up there and go to dances. And but the next sophomore year they did let me go, and sophomore, junior, and senior year. And I always had to come to the office here and ask the principal if I could be off on that Friday afternoon. And of course he always said no, but I always went and asked him, and he would not excuse me, in other words. So I had to make up my schoolwork.
I'm sitting on the steps of the Weirs Cave School, later to be named Middle River High School. In 1946, I started school here with all my buddies, and I was probably a month into school when they found out my birthday wasn't until October the 24th, and I had to be 6 by October 1, as I recall. So we had a dilemma. We ended up where we lived. A lady taught school at Timber Ridge School in Rockingham County, probably 8 miles from here. She taught there, and so she took me every day and brought me home for that first year of school at Timber Ridge. And those days, Timber Ridge had 4 classes,
4 grades in one room. This row was grade 1, which was me, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. One row, maybe 6, 7 of us, I don't know. And that was the extent of it. It's a very small school. So I got to stay with my buddies by going to Timber Ridge School for the first year. Then I came back to where we are right now today, Warriors Cave. Spent my entire school years prior to going to Virginia Tech right here at Warriors Cave. Lots of memories here. I was a guard in basketball, and we were called Middle River Beavers. And kids all laugh about the fact that we were called the Beavers, but I will tell you the truth. We went to the state finals one year, played in Williamsburg. Didn't win the state finals, but we played in it. And we got along well. But remember my ag classes here being down in the basement? Bev Rower was my teacher and a great influence on my life. Did a lot of public speaking, participated in a lot of contests in FFA. A bunch of us guys we still get together on occasion, reminiscing. Graduated in 1957 from this school. And started Virginia Tech that same year in the fall. That summer after graduation's when I met Carolyn, Oma. And that's a whole nother story. I saw Carolyn at a swimming pool, and I was with Kenneth Huffman and a couple other buddies, and referred to that blonde, and liking to meet. So I probably said something like, "I'd like to meet her sometime." And Kenneth said, "Well, she's my cousin. I can arrange that or introduce you." I don't remember exactly what he said, but he did play a part in it. And she first saw me, I think. You want to tell that?
Well, I was at the swimming pool. I wasn't looking for any guys, but there was plenty of them there. And one noticed me and said to my cousin, "I'd like to take her out." And so he called and asked if I would go out with. Kenneth called and asked if I'd go out with Dwight, and my parents said I would have to meet him first. So that led us to meeting at the Warriors Cave lawn party behind the old Warriors Cave School. And
the lawn party was a big deal in those days. You knew most of the people that came to them. It was a kind of social event of the summer. And I remember the parade getting ready to start. And you were on the opposite corner of the street where the parade was coming down the street, and I was on the other. Old Crone was around. Don Crone was around at that time,
laughing
about everything.
Yeah.
And so forth. And she likes to tell the story, so let her just tell it about presenting the ring to her. How romantic that was.
I lived on Dinkle Avenue at that time in Bridgewater, and we'd gotten home after a date, and we were on the sofa in the living room, and I was very surprised. He said, "I hope you always make me this happy." He said, "Would you marry me?" And he pulled out the ring, and it was wrapped up in toilet paper. And he gave me the ring and put it on my finger.
And when did we get engaged? September
17th. Something like that.
1960.
Yeah.
I graduated at Tech, and in 61 she graduated from Turner Ashby, and we got married within a few weeks after that. We got married in 1961 and moved to Cumberland, Virginia, where I taught agriculture. Had a little apartment there, second story of a home. Paid $45 a month rent. And Robin was born that year.
She was born 9 months after we got married.
Yep. And we moved back after a year of teaching school. We moved back here and lived in a little frame home up within walking distance of the church. This little house near the Pleasant Valley Church, we had Robin when we moved in here, and Melody and Brad were born while we lived in this house. It was within walking distance of the church and walking distance of Aunt Geneva Ritchie, and we had no air conditioning, but plenty of good memories at this house.
I remember having babies in this house when we lived here. We had Melody and Brad, only a day apart, I guess it was. 3 years and a day apart. I remember the laundry room, and we had a washing machine, no dryer, and we hung our clothes on the clothesline out in the backyard there.
Yep. I remember seeing a picture of us sitting on the front porch steps with Robin, and I can remember watching Gunsmoke on TV, and that was a popular show back in those days.
One evening, he washed this front porch off with a hose, and he got some water down in a bee nest, and the bees, I was pregnant with Melody, and the bees came after me 3 times in the rear. I got stung, and I kept going like that.
Yeah.
And here at the Valley Church, where all the children grew up, we spent many good years here.
They were dedicated, all of them here in this church. They were all baptized here in this church, and the 3 daughters got married in this church. So the church here has been a big part of our family.
Sure is. I don't even remember some of that.
I taught Sunday school, taught the kids, maybe first, second graders, and I sang in the church choir here for about 30 years. We were both children, youth leaders several times, and I used to cook out here in this kitchen for funeral dinners, and so we were pretty busy in the church.
Yeah, I remember teaching a number of Sunday school classes. About every year I taught some here.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of friends still go here. Lots of good friends.
This is the nursery at the Pleasant Valley Church, where we attended 40 plus years. And in 1995, I was asked to do some kind of artwork on a wall for this classroom. And Melody helped me do that. And we did the Noah's Ark, as you can see. We had fun doing it, and like they still keep it here, so I guess it was good enough for them.
I worked at Houff Transfer for 44 years, full-time, and prior to that, when I was just a kid, I worked on Saturdays down here for many years, washing trucks mainly, and whatever. But this old panel truck, as we still call it, used to call it, I remember driving it back and forth from the home we lived at near the Valley Church, which is just a couple miles. This old panel truck I drove back and forth for many years while we lived there in that little house, that little white frame house near the Valley Church. We're talking about 1962 through 10 years or more. This old boy's been around a long time.
We moved in our present house in 1969, and I drew the plans for the house and showed them to our builder, Mr. Shanholster, and I gave him the plan so he could take them to an architect. And he looked at them and said, I can build your house from these plans. I built it to scale. 1 inch was 4 feet. And so he did so and did a beautiful job.
Memories at this house. There are lots of them. We had the 3 children already when we moved in here. Then Marcia was born while we was living here. And
she was a pleasant surprise for us.
Good way to put it.
But all the other kids were so excited when we told them that we were going to have another baby.
All the children played tennis growing up, and so the tennis court got used a good bit in those days. There's so many memories here. Times we got getting the family together, and spent a lot of time right here where we are sitting right now. This was built, I think, as a carport when we first built it. And tell them what happened.
And then it was turned into a screen porch. And when Robin and Melody started dating and had young guys visit them here at the house, we decided to make this into a room so that they would have a courting room. And
I remember the idea I had of a wood stove. I liked the wood heat. And we had a wood box sitting over here and put a little chimney here with a little wood stove. Had that for a number of years, and it was somebody just heated it up so well out here. And it was so cozy. And I can remember that we shut it down pretty quick after Brad left to go to college. And he said, you might know that I didn't have to, nobody was going to carry in wood like I did. He didn't like filling up the wood box, but he did it for whatever time he needed to do it, and it was okay. There's also a good memory of him about supper one evening. You want to tell that? And I add to it.
It was fun. We were all sitting around the dining room table, and Brad got mad about something, and he walked back to his room and come back with his suitcase packed. And he said, I'm leaving home. So he goes to the back door, and we heard him open the door, and then a very short time we heard him close the door. And what had happened was he smelled a skunk as soon as he opened the door. So he closed the door and creeped back in the house very quietly so we would know he was still in here.
I think we were carrying on the conversation about we thought he would come back in, but he didn't want us to know it. And I can remember we were talking about who was going to finish his dessert or eat his dessert or something.
Yeah.
And everybody was talking like, he was gone. We didn't really care. And so it kind of backfired on him, but it was kind of chilly because he had his coat on, I remember, and I think it was dark. And the fact that it was dark and he smelled the skunk, he changed his mind about how far he was going to go. I always enjoyed it because it was a good view of the farm. This was 24 acres that we were sitting on here, and I could always look over at the barn and see if somebody coming in or out from over there. You had a good view of Route 11 and Interstate, and you could just see kind of what was going on around here without having to go out of the house.
We also could tell the story about Melody, who was the goody-goody, as some of the others talked about her. And what did you do? You went in the basement one day.
Oh yeah. She had Melissa Wright was up here playing with her that day. And was it just them two?
At that time, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just them two, and I went down in the basement. We had part of the basement, we had a fireplace down there and a mantel. And I don't know what the occasion was, but I went down there. Here, she and Melissa were sitting up on top of the mantel, above the fireplace, pretending they were cheerleaders or doing something.
They were in bleachers.
Yeah, they were in bleachers.
In the top bleacher.
They were in the top bleacher, yeah. And Melody got in a little trouble for that. I also remember going down the basement one time, and she was sitting on top of Brad. They had a disagreement about something. And she was working on him pretty good, sitting on him. He was small enough she could sit on top of him. And she was beating on him a little bit, but I don't think it was that bad. But she remembered I kind of caught her at it.
Also at this house, in 2010, our home was on the Historic Garden Tour week. And we had a lot of fun, I think, getting ready for it. My husband would probably tell you a different story.
Yeah, I said we did that twice. First and last time.
Oh.
we did get it done, but getting ready for it was, I won't use the words.
This has been a good home for us, and I think the family gatherings are the most memorable memories. We love having all of our kids and grandkids and great-grandkids in our home, and I think they like coming here.